It's nice to meet you all. My name is Vera Beaumont. I'm very honored to be able to give you this seminar today, and I appreciate you all for taking the time to come and participate. Before we get started, is there any questions, anything that we need to get said before we begin? All right. Okay, so today we are working on the art of annotation. This is a helpful skill to have when we are reading, especially reading English text. It helps us stay focused. So I thought it would be important to practice and teach the art of annotation. So without further ado, so first I would like to introduce what are annotations and why we annotate. And then after we do that, I would like to practice it with all of you because in order to learn something, it's best to practice it. And then we will review like what we have learned over this session and some helpful tips to take away leaving this session. All right. So what are annotations? Annotations are notes that are taken when one reads through a text. So this can include marking unfamiliar or new words and defining them. But you could mark a word that's unfamiliar by circling, highlighting, or underlining that word. This also includes highlighting or underlining lines or sections of the text that connect to the main idea or theme of the text you're reading. And then practicing restating what you've read in your own words. And that's important to be able to say in your own words what the idea or the argument is in the text that you're reading, to be able to reiterate what is being said. Okay. So why do we annotate? We annotate because it helps us familiarize ourselves or get us used to new vocabulary. So vocabulary that we've never seen before, vocabulary that you're unfamiliar with, that way we're learning new vocabulary as we read certain texts. It also allows us to organize the arguments and ideas of the text, being able to visualize how an author argues their point and why that is very important. And it helps us understand and explain those arguments of the text. So not only does it help us familiarize new vocabulary and organize our understanding of arguments, but it helps us be able to explain those arguments and ideas from the text. All right, so now that we know what an annotation is and why we annotate, how do we annotate? How do we accomplish this? Okay, so the first step is reading a text. So this starts with looking at the title of the text that you are reading. The title is very important because it allows us to get an idea of what the paper is about. The title is an indication of the main idea, essentially. And then depending on what kind of text you're reading, there may be certain headings. So headings are little titles in between the sections of a text, and they also indicate what those sections are talking about. And then as you're reading, it might be important to do the marking of those unfamiliar or unknown vocabulary words. You don't have to define them in the moment, but it's just important to mark those as you're reading along. That way you know which words were unfamiliar as you're reading. And then next, as you're reading, you might underline or highlight lines or sections that stand out to you or that you think connect to those main ideas. So the second step is the annotation. So once you've finished reading through the section or the text of what you're reading, that's the time that you look up and define those unfamiliar, unknown vocabulary words that you marked as you were reading. You don't want to do it as you're reading because that might distract you from the reading process, but it's just important to take the time after you're done reading to define those unfamiliar words. That way you understand what they meant in the context of the text. And then again, looking at those or highlighting, underlining, marking those lines and sections that stood out to you. And those could be explaining or the arguments used. The sections or lines that you might want to highlight that may stand out to you are those lines that or sections that help argue or explain the author's main ideas or arguments. So the ideas that they use in order to support their main thesis. And something that might also stand out to you are the sources or references that they use to support those claims. Because if you highlight those, you might be able to also follow along with how they are supporting their claims. And then the next important step is to rephrase or write in your own words what the text is saying or arguing. And this is important to make a note of as you're highlighting those sections, is because you want to be able to fully understand a text. You must be able to say your own words. That is a sign that you are following along with what they're arguing, what they are saying, is to be able to say it in your own words. Okay? So let's practice. I wanted to use a philosophical document written by a German philosopher, Immanuel Kant. So here is Immanuel Kant's essay, An Answer to the Question, What is Enlightenment? And you can tell that it's the title because it is in quotation marks. So what we're going to do is I'm going to read this paragraph. This is going to be our first section that we're looking at because there's multiple pages. And I'm going to read this out, and then you're going to, as a group, tell me what words that I should highlight that are unfamiliar to you, and also highlight a line that you think is the main idea of the paragraph. All right. So I'm going to read the paragraph, and then you can either unmute yourself or put in the chat what words you want highlighted and defined. Okay. All right. Enlightenment is man's emergence from his self-imposed immaturity. Immaturity is the inability to use one's understanding without guidance from another. This immaturity is self-imposed when its cause lies not in lack of understanding, but in lack of resolve and courage to use it without guidance from another. We'll skip over the French. Dare to know. Have courage to use your own words or your own understanding. That is the motto of enlightenment. Let me have it up for you. Sorry, give me one moment. And then share either on the chat or raise your hand and unmute yourself what words you need definitions for, or what you think the main idea is in this paragraph. Enlightenment mean, okay, that's good. And if you have your hand up, you can unmute yourself if you'd like, or put your suggestion in the chat, whichever one you're more comfortable with. Immaturity, that's good. Oh, I see. Because you can't unmute, I apologize. Please put your answers in the chat. And that's good, the main idea at the end of the paragraph. Okay, now they can. Awesome.
Hello, ma'am. Hello, ma'am. Can you please make it magnifier for me? I mean, I cannot see everything clearly.
Okay.
The text, please.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Let's do this in a different color because we're marking the main idea. Self-imposed. Okay, that's good.
I'm sorry, ma'am, but I can't catch the emergence. Is it from emergency?
Emergence. So this line here, man's emergence.
Yep.
Yes. So in this context, emergence, it means, I think we've gotten to a point where we can start defining these words. So emergence is to come out of, or to leave, or to escape. So let's look here. So at this point, now that we've highlighted some words that we need defining, we can open up either the dictionary, the that you have physically or that you have online, and start looking up these words. So let's look at the dictionary now, and let's start with enlightenment, because that's the first word that's used. So the dictionary defines enlightenment as let's look here. So to have like intellectual or spiritual knowledge. And I mean, the whole point of his essay is to explain and to answer what is enlightenment, which I believe someone found at the end of the paragraph, which is to have courage to use your own understanding. Of course, this is a philosophical text, so even though the dictionary may have a definition of enlightenment, there's still a philosophical definition that he's wanting to dive into. But we understand enlightenment as spiritual or intellectual knowledge. All right. So what we can do now is, now that we have this highlighted, we can make a note for ourselves. Intellectual, and or spiritual okay. The same thing with emergence. We would look up what emergence, what that is from the dictionary. So it is growth, or it's also defined as evolution. So like a development that that we are brought to. And then for immaturity, immaturity is a lack of independence. So resolve is to determine or to decide. So we find all the words that that you suggested for words that needed definitions. And then I think one of you again pointed out the main idea of the paragraph. Yes, of course. So we're going over how to annotate a text, which is taking notes on a text as you read and after you read, to help you better understand words you may not understand and the meaning or argument of the text. And we're practicing it here with Immanuel Kant's an answer to the question of what is enlightenment. So now that we have defined the words we didn't understand, and we've highlighted the main idea of the text, which he defines enlightenment as having the courage to use your own understanding. Now we have an idea of what the text will be talking about and what it will be saying it. So now that we've practiced using this paragraph and we've defined some words, I'd be happy to open up for questions. Just to review, annotations are the notes taken as we read through a text, which helps us strengthen our familiarity with new vocabulary, arguments, and ideas. It helps us stay focused when we read. So when we're highlighting words or main ideas from a text, it helps us stay focused and helps us give us a purpose to read, instead of just passively reading and not really understanding what we're taking away from this. And it also allows us to understand how to explain these new ideas and words in our own words. That way we can practice, okay, how could I explain this to someone who doesn't know what this paper is about, what these ideas are about? And the whole thing with annotations is practice. So just practicing highlighting words, highlighting ideas as you go along with your reading and being able to define it in your own words will help you better annotate and also help you better take away the ideas from the text. All right. Was there any ways that that could help um, you reading in the future? Anything that you want to take as that stood out to you through the notes um, that you think you would like to practice as you read? Yes, go ahead.
Hi, Miss. Thanks for the great opportunity and thanks for the teachings you gave us. There were some kind of issues that stood out to me, like you just explained to us the meaning of enlightenment and emergence. So the meanings were a little bit blunt for me. Like I needed a little bit more explanation about for like how kind of enlightenment, like spiritual meaning it has to us, like what kind of understanding, the way of understanding spiritually means enlightenment, and emergence, like coming out of something. So we can emerge from anything if it means coming out of something. But as we know in English, we have usages for words. So what kind of usage that emergence has? Like in which ways, in what kind of places we can use the emergence? Thanks.
Yes, thank you. That's actually a really great question, and I'm glad that you brought it up. Um, so the funny thing about English is that depending on context, words have different meanings, even though they're spelled the same or they sound the same, right? Like you were saying. So let's look back at the text together. Um, so a helpful tool is context, right? So reading it in the context of the sentence or the paragraph. Um, so enlightenment is a man's emergence, so his leaving from his self-imposed immaturity. Oh, I forgot to define that. My bad. Self-imposed. That word. Um, so what it means to be self-imposed is to put requirements uh, or to put restrictions on yourself. So it um, so when you're looking up a word, right? And let's do this together. So let's look at this definition here of a task or uh, circumstance imposed on oneself, not by external force. So impose, if you look at that, to impose is to put force, to inflict, and these are very negative definitions. But it's to forcibly put restrictions on the self. Um, so when we look at that um, in the context of the sentence here, um, it does seem very vague, but it put together, I think it helps allow you to understand what is being said. So enlightenment, the intellectual or spiritual knowledge, um, enlightenment is what he's trying to define, what Kant is trying to define in this paper. So while that is a vague definition, he's trying to further define it, right? So it is man's emergence, so his growth or the stepping into new understanding, or to step out of old understanding. So it's to step out from his self-imposed or one's forced immaturity, and immaturity is the lack of independence. So now that we have an idea of what each word kind of means, and we have it in the context of the sentence, so the spiritual and or intellectual knowledge, so to be able to gain intellectual or spiritual knowledge is when a person steps out of his or her forced independence or forced lack of independence. Sorry.
Greetings. I hope you are doing well. Thank you so much for this great presentations. And in this presentation, we learn how to find out some unfamiliar word we face during of the reading, and as well as how to find the main ideas of the context. So these techniques really help us to just practice in order to gain the knowledge and understanding of reading different contexts in English, and as well as help us to build our vocabulary. So I am so glad to be part of this session, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy that you were here to participate and to learn the different techniques of reading different English texts. I very appreciate all of you being here and taking the time to practice this with me, and to learn those skills to help better your English reading and writing. So I appreciate the time that you guys all took to be here and to learn. Saha, did you have another question? Or
hello, ma'am. I hope you're doing well. And this is Safi. Thank you. Today's session that you're talking about the enlightenment, that is really useful and benefits topic. We got money from this topic and this worth.
The point of the session was annotating a text. So annotations are the notes you take as you read a text. So that's being able to highlight different unfamiliar words. It is here. Let's look at this one. So it's highlighting, circling, underlining, marking new unfamiliar words and defining them. It's highlighting and underlining lines or sections that connect to the main idea, and then stating or restating those lines and sections in your own words. So that was the main idea of the topic today, was practicing learning English through reading by learning different vocabulary, circling unfamiliar words and ideas, and being able to restate them so that you can understand them and re-explain them. Does that help? And then I think there's information.
Sure, ma'am. It's too helpful. Thank you. Wish you good luck.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. I think there's some information in the chat as well for you.
Dear teacher, thank you so much for giving us your precious time. We truly learn a lot, and well, I personally loved it, and I'm sure the students, all of them, they're happy too. And guys, this is a demo class again. Dear teacher, we did tell them the good news that you will be teaching, so they're kind of confused that is that the main session or the main class or what, so they're confused on that. But yeah, they can find more information in the link that's been sent in the chat box. I think that's a WhatsApp group. You guys can join that. And if you don't have any questions or suggestions, I think, dear teacher, you know, the presentation's over. So I think they can leave, right? Do you give the permission?
Yes. If you have no further questions, that is the conclusion of today's session. I appreciate you all taking the time to be here and to ask questions and to participate. I'm very thankful for all of your presence here. So thank you, and you're free to leave if you have no further questions.
Hi, teacher.
Hello.
My name is Irfan, and I'm so glad that I'm here in your class, and you had such a great presentation tonight.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming.
Thank you so much. I'm so concerned about the text that we couldn't finish. Do we have any conclusion about that? That is my only, yes.
Well, that is an excellent question. So that last line,
Yes.
let me pull it up here. So the last line here, when he says, have courage to use your own understanding, that is the motto of enlightenment. That is his main idea, his main argument. And throughout the text, he uses different examples and comparisons in order to explain that idea. But that's his main conclusion is to not lean on anyone else's understanding of the world, or to not have guidance from others in order to understand the world, I guess you could say. Would you want, if you would like to further read it, I can, I encourage you to do so. Do you need the title for it again?
Yes, teacher. Can we have the full text, maybe, in future tonight?
Yeah, let me see how I can share this with you.
Thank you, teacher.
Yeah, I'll reach out to Mina, and I will ask her about getting you all a PDF copy the
Yeah,
text.
no problem.
It is very
Okay.
interesting.
Yeah, thank you, teacher.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate your time and your presence here. It was amazing.
Yeah, it's been a long time that I haven't spoken English. I mean, like maybe more than a year or two. So I'm really thankful that you're a teacher and I can freely speak English. And I really hope that you could help me and all of us, I mean, all the students, to speak fluently, like just like you.
Well, I appreciate that, and I would love to further teach you all and help strengthen your English skills because I mean it's great that you all want to learn and that you are all dedicated to do so, and I want to help you all in any way that I can.
Thank you, teacher. I'm so excited for this class.
As am I. Well, I hope you all have a good night. If there's any other questions, I'll stay, but you're free to go if you have no other further questions. But yeah, thank you again for staying through the session. I appreciate it.
Thanks, teacher. Have a great day.
You as well.
Good night, dear teacher. Goodbye.
Good night.
Bye.